And welcome to Hannity. It was the most watched cable news program ever. And last night's first 2016 Republican presidential debate in Cleveland, it did not disappoint. Here are some of the major highlights.
If it weren't for me, you wouldn't even be talking about illegal immigration, Chris. You wouldn't even be talking about it.
If I'm our nominee, how is Hillary Clinton going to lecture me about living paycheck to paycheck? I was raised paycheck to paycheck.
We've gotten into this mindset of fighting politically correct wars. There is no such thing as a politically correct war.
And I'm going to run hard, run with heart, and run to win. I'm going to have to earn this. Maybe the bar is even higher for me. That's fine.
If you're looking for someone to go to Washington, to go along, to get along, to agree with the career politicians in both parties who get in bed with the lobbyists and special interests, then I ain't your guy.
Ronald Reagan said trust but verify. President Obama is trust but vilify. He trusts our enemies and vilifies everyone who disagrees with him.
People like Hillary Clinton think you grow the economy by growing Washington. One report last year showed that 6 of the top 10 wealthiest counties in America were in or around Washington, D.C.
You know, look, I balanced the federal budget as one of the chief architects when I was in Washington. Hadn't been done since.
All right, here with reaction, the co-author of the best-selling book, Climate Change, The Facts. Our good friend Mark Stein is back with us. Sir, how are you?
Hey, I'm great, Sean. Good to be with you.
My initial observation, I have two of them. One, when is Hillary going to answer some tough questions? When is that day ever going to occur, if ever? Yeah. And number two, as I watched these candidates, I saw a vibrancy, a vitality. I saw passion. I heard a lot of good ideas. I felt it was healthy. What was your initial reaction to it?
Yeah, I agree with that, and evidently so do 24 million people who watch that debate, a year and a half from whoever wins taking the oath of office, and that's Hillary's problem. Hillary's candidacy is dying through this insulated, overprotected boredom factor, which is why, according to some rumors, Bernie Sanders is going to need a venue that holds 20,000 people for one of his upcoming events. I mean, that's why Bernie Sanders is neck and neck with Hillary in New Hampshire, simply because she's too boring to be able to sit on her lead for another year and a quarter. And I think that's the difference between the Democrat side and what we saw on the Republican side last night.
You know, it's funny. Who would have thunk it? A 73-year-old curmudgeonly socialist with zero name recognition is giving her a statistical dead heat in New Hampshire. Nobody would have thought of that. Is it because her ideas are old and stale, and she's old and stale and at best a mediocre politician, and this is basically a third Obama term?
Yeah, I don't think she's actually any good at it. I think you could have. I mean, the country it's a 50-50 nation, and I think you could have a third Obama term if they had somebody with Obama's touch or with Hillary's husband's touch. But Hillary is essentially running as the Eva Peron of the Democratic Party, and she hasn't got anything like the same charisma or flair. I would be surprised, I would be very surprised if Hillary's campaign actually survives until Election Day next year.
I share the same sentiment as you do. I think you've got Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, and maybe even Comrade de Blasio on the sidelines thinking they might be able to come in at the last minute and steal this. All right, let's go through the Republicans. Who stood out in your mind? Who had a good night in your view?
Well, I think they all did well in their own terms. Realistically, Donald Trump, you would have to drive a stake through him. So simply because no one did drive a stake through him, he survived, and therefore he won. So he's still in the game, and he's still locking down whatever it is, 25%, 32%, I think it is in South Carolina now. So he's the guy to beat. I thought most of the others did well within their own terms, although they're actually quite narrow terms. And the disappointment, I think, was with the number 2 and number 3, because I think Jeb Bush and Scott Walker, in a sense, were both sitting on their non-leads. Both of them, I think, took a sort of conscious decision to kind of do a low-key, don't frighten the horses thing, and hope that when Trump implodes, that they're still in the number 2 or number 3 slot and they're the ones who take over. And I don't think that'll work, frankly.
You know what? Maybe this is an example of playing it safe or going for the win. In other words, you're suggesting that if they want it, they're going to have to go in and fight and take it. It's not going to be handed to them. That's what I interpret you saying.
No. Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, people talk about the ceiling in Trump's vote, although the ceiling keeps going higher. It's, you know, the ceiling was supposed to be 20%, then it became 22, 24, 26, maybe 30%. I mean, you've got a lot of internal arguments in the guys who were on stage last night. I mean, essentially, Rand Paul is an isolationist libertarian, whereas Lindsey Graham is a big security state interventionist. Mike Huckabee is a big government social conservative. Jeb Bush is an open borders fetishist. John Kasich is hot for Medicare. I mean, those guys have a ceiling too. And if people talk about the difficulty Donald Trump would have in uniting the party, I mean, clearly some of these other guys, Mike Huckabee or Rand Paul or whoever you talk about, Chris Christie, would have difficulty getting above a certain ceiling too. So that's what actually made it a great debate when Chris Christie and Rand Paul butted up. I mean, that's I would love to see Hillary actually taking that kind of heat from Bernie Sanders. But they basically don't want to start the debate season until 10 days before the November election.
But
I mean, they don't want that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but you're basically highlighting that there right now is an ongoing battle for the heart and soul of the Republican Party. Is this going to be a watered-down version of the Democratic Party or a revitalized second party? And I think Ted Cruz probably makes that distinction. Are they going to fight? Are they going to risk shutting down the government? Are they going to defund Obamacare? Are they going to stop Obama's executive amnesty? Are they going to defund Planned Parenthood? There's a big schism going on here. Which side of the party is going to win this?
Well, and actually, Ted Cruz, I think, puts it in more basic terms when he talks about the Washington cartel, which I think is a great phrase, that basically, to a large number of people, on the conservative side in this country, Washington is a two-party conspiracy against the American future and the American dream. And there's a big audience for that, particularly after the failures of the 2010 election and the 2014 election to deliver anything. You know, Rand Paul the other day used this kind of lame line, Washington is broken. If you're a liberal, if you're a Democrat, Washington isn't broken. It delivers you big victories on Obamacare and same-sex marriage. And even, you know, they're pushing. There's some stupid federal transgendered bathroom bill waiting to be introduced in the House of Representatives. Even, they're always pushing to build the land that liberals want to live in. And on the other side of the ledger, conservatives want a candidate who wants to build the America they can live in. And that's why I think tonally, the Jeb Bush, Scott Walker thing of just kind of sitting on your non-lead in number 2 and number 3 position may not have been enough last night.
Let me ask you about Donald Trump and the opening question about whether he would run third party and get your take on this.
Raise your hand now if you won't make that pledge tonight. Mr. Trump.
I cannot say I have to respect the person that if it's not me, the person that wins. If I do win and I'm leading by quite a bit, that's what I want to do. I can totally make that pledge. If I'm the nominee, I will pledge I will not run as an independent. But and I am discussing it with everybody, but I'm talking about a lot of leverage. We want to win, and we will win. But I want to win as the Republican. I want to run as the Republican nominee.
Now, I did a follow-up with Mr. Trump right after the debate and asked him a little bit more about this. I have no belief that he'd run independent or third party. But I think what he's saying is, this is his business background. I can't give up my leverage. I will insist that I be treated fairly. That was my interpretation. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, that this is his leverage. I mean, basically, the Republican establishment has treated him like a piece of dog excrement stuck to the Republican Party's shoe since he entered this race. And they've been wrong on everything. They've said everything he says is going to kill him. The Mexican rapist line was going to kill him. It put him in the lead. Then dissing John McCain was going to finish him off. It widened his lead. Now we're expected to believe that dissing Rosie O'Donnell is going to cause Donald Trump to implode. They give the impression that that their entire strategy with Trump is to help him to self-detonate as soon as possible, like he's a suicide bomber who's got problems with his Semtex belt, and he's entitled, given that atmosphere, to push back against it. And I think that's actually he is saying, as long as you keep shoving this rubbish at me, insulting my supporters by damning them as crazies, as John McCain said, there's absolutely no reason why I should give you guarantees that I'm going to be a nice little house-trained poodle until you stop insulting me and my supporters. That's entirely valid. That's what a negotiator. That's how he'd negotiate with the Mullahs and the Chinese Politburo and all the rest of the gang.
I think that's really well said. By the way, the Rosie line, I burst out laughing, and so did the entire room that was watching it with me. So, all right, Mark Stein, thanks for your insight. Appreciate it.